Hello. Thank you for joining us for our, I think, fourth or fifth round of Shoebox Conversations. This time we are joined with Stevie Love, amazing painter, um, sculptor. I know, like in your statement, you said painter slash sculptor, and we'll talk more about that for sure. And we're joined
Okay.
with S. Vollie Osborn and Sheli Silverio, part of our Shoebox team. So we have these conversations because we want to talk to our artists, find out what you're doing right now during the pandemic, um, if you're doing anything. And of course, luckily you have all that amazing work behind you. So I have tons of pictures not tons of pictures, but I have a few photos. Don't worry, we're not going to keep everybody here forever. I have a few photos of your work to talk about, talk about your process,
Okay.
the subject matter. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. How are you doing, Stevie?
I'm doing great, actually, in the pandemic. I'm really enjoying having to stay home. It's my favorite place to be. So I'm okay.
Well, you have an amazing home. Tell us a little bit about the home. I mean, I know right now you're working on a book. Tell us
I
a little bit about it.
Well, my husband and I built an adobe house on our own. We made all the adobe blocks by hiring, part-time workers to help us. So we actually built the place, and it's made of the dirt that's right here. This hill that was the hill is now the house. I love saying that.
I know.
And so we've been in the house about almost 12 years now.
Wow.
And I've been saying for years, I want to write a book about how we built the house, and I'm finally going to do it. And it's going to get published next year in 2021.
Cool.
By MOA. Andy has offered to work with me, and we're going to publish it together.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Then she's doing, in the fall of 2021, she's doing some architecture exhibition.
Ooh.
So she's going to include this house, and it's going to be on a home tour as a fundraiser.
Cool.
So we're going to have a bunch of people up and come through the house. So you guys are all invited.
Yay.
Very cool.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, we went there, and gosh, was it January now, Shelley? I think, or wait, no, Susan was with me.
I was gonna say I couldn't.
Sorry.
I saw the pictures and I was like, I didn't go.
I know.
Yeah.
So we've been there, and it's in Juniper Hills, which is like South Antelope Valley. Just about an hour, 15 minutes north of Los Angeles. And we like fell in love with all the details in your home. Like your front door is just amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
We got that, I believe, let me see the front door. That was on La Brea at a place from India. So it's from India doors. Yeah, they're amazing. That's that's what was so nice. Bruce and I doing it ourselves. It was going so slowly. It took about 7 years. We built the garage first and lived in the garage for 2 years. But it was going so slowly that all those kinds of decisions, like you say, there's so many interesting details. That's why, because we were doing it ourselves. Yeah,
amazing. Well, we are here to talk more about your work. And I want to start off by I'm going to, share the screen here so everybody can kind of see. This is a photo from when Susan and I visited your studio. This is inside your home. You created this amazing studio with a skylight. The light is brilliant coming in. And of course, it shows off your work amazingly. So tell us a little bit about your work in general. Like, what do you do? Why do you do it? What's it about?
Okay. I like to say I'm addicted to acrylic paint. I really am. And I use squeeze bottles and pastry tubes. So I put it on really thickly, almost like sculpture. And that's why I say they're painting sculpture hybrids. Because they're not paintings, they're not pictures of anything. And, I consider myself a latter-day modernist, because the modernists are the ones who really started using paint as a subject matter. Like Cezanne, you know, when he painted a tree, his paint strokes were just as important as the subject matter of the tree.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, and making really thick, juicy paint objects. And then lately, for the past probably 2 years, I've been adding fur to the back, faux fur, to make an aura around, and just because it's kind of ridiculous and humorous, and it just adds a whole nother dimension. So this picture here this is how I start. This is that grid at the bottom is bird netting, and it's on top of some plastic over a 4x8 sheet of plywood. That's my work table. So I put the paint, in this case, I actually had a drawing underneath because I had planned this out, because it's kind of like a Rorschach view, and I wanted both halves to be a mirror image of the other. I don't usually make drawings, but this one I did. So I put the paint on the grid. Sometimes I use window screen, or this is bird netting, or I've used other kinds of fencing materials. So I go to, you know, the Lowe's and look for things to use. And then when the paint is dry, I can peel it up off of the plastic. You know, acrylic paint won't stick to plastic. And then I cut away the extra grid. So then you just have the paint, you know, the shape of the piece is the shape of the paint, which is one thing I really like about the work I do.
Yeah, you can get a good.
And then the last
that here
is add the fur on the back. Glue it down with, you know, medium, acrylic medium.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
How, oh, let me see, oops, there we go. How, or what kind of like, do you use, what kind of acrylic paint do you use? Do you use Nova Color or Golden?
Okay. I use mostly Nova Color and some Golden products because, well, Golden makes one product called tar gel, clear tar gel.
Okay.
And Nova doesn't have anything like that. It's an interesting medium because I use it for pouring, and it's completely difficult. You can't control it. It'll spread and spread and spread, but it makes this a beautiful, you know, smooth, level surface. And sometimes it's really great just to let it pour and let it run and see what it does by pushing the other paint that's next to it. And it makes interesting shapes. But I mostly use Nova Color mainly because I can drive down there and get it and I don't have to pay shipping, you know. And I like Nova Color, and I use all of their mediums. I use a combination of, you know, pourable gel medium, which is thick, or just pourable mediums, matte and gloss, and different ones. Mm-hmm. And I mix them together to make this, you know, I really need a certain viscosity to do what I want it to do, especially if I'm making dots or, you know, some shapes. With the squeeze bottle, I want the paint to like relax enough to make a smooth, shiny surface, but not like just spread like crazy. And I don't want it to be so thick that it would make a little peak on top like a Hershey's Kiss. I don't want that either. So it has to be the right viscosity. So that's what I learned over the past 12 years, is how to get the right surface look that I'm trying to make.
You have really good control.
That just comes from experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it is, the more you do something, the more ingrained it gets, actually.
Exactly. Now, the pieces you were working on your table, they're more landscape. I think these pieces were what we showed. And in a couple minutes, I'm going to show more abstract work. What made you switch to the landscape from the abstract?
Well, actually, I guess it wasn't really a switch because I had been making landscapes maybe, let's see, when we first moved into the house, I was doing landscapes made of dots on acrylic panels. So the acrylic panel is transparent, and I would make a landscape with dots, leaving space, and so they were, even then they were floating in space, but yeah, so there were landscapes made of dots, which I have on my website in the old archived art.
Okay. And of course, you know, of course you've been there for 12 years, but you have this amazing view that, you know, it's kind of natural to go and, you know, and share it through your paint now.
Yeah, it's just so attractive. I mean, I just love the hills up here and the view out to the desert too, but I'm just so connected to the place, you know, very connected to this place. I wouldn't be the person I am without being here, which I thank the hills every morning when I take the dog for a walk. I turn around and I face the hills. I go, thank you. Because, you know, you know, nature's like, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I wanted to show a couple of your abstract pieces too. You know,
yeah.
I mean, they're brilliant. They're, you know, just the coloring, the brightness, you know, the fur around them. And, you know, I know like when you showed us in our physical studio visit, when we were able to see each other in person, you were talking about like for even the fur, you have to brush it, you know, to make it like.
Oh, I do. Yeah, because the reason is the fur, it's like any fabric, it has a nap, right? So when you buy the fur, I get it at the garment district, you know, Maple and Ninth downtown. Yeah. There's lots of places that sell all kinds of different colors and types of fur, but they all have a nap. So when you bring it home, all the fur is going in one direction. So if I were to just put the fur on the back of the painting, it wouldn't stick out all four sides. So I have to comb it out to the edges on the sides where it's not facing that edge. And then I actually put a line of matte medium to glue it down so that it'll stay sticking out that side. Yeah, I have to do that. So these are all, this type of thing, I think of them as fields of energy.
Stevie, you were saying that one of the desert pieces was kind of Rorschached, and so you'd planned it out. Do these ones, for these ones, do you do them more by feel? How were you creating these pieces? Yeah,
the way I start is with color in my head. What colors am I going to use? And I start. So this one, I just started at the center. I didn't know how big it was going to be. I started at the center and started working out with darker colors, and then, you know, I wanted some more subtleties and differences. So I went back in, and where it was too dark, I added light dots on top of the dark dots, and like that, and just built it up until it looked right to me. Yeah. So they're built up by trial and error, basically.
And when you see them in person, I mean, you know, when you look at them from the side, it's really cool to see the depth, you know, and the texture. Yeah. And then with the fur, it adds something. And then of course I had to show the, you know, billboard, which is amazing.
Moa, the museum, you know, Andy had this competition. She said, anyone who wants to have a billboard, send me some images. So I was really pleased that this one got chosen. And there were, I think, 15 billboards of art from local artists out here, scattered throughout Lancaster. And this was right on Sierra Highway, where thousands of people drive by every day. So yeah, that was super exciting to see that up there.
Definitely. How long was it up?
They need to put faux fur around the entire.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great, Sheli. That would have been so funny. Let's see. I think it was a while, 2 or 3 months.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah, and it's that Lamar billboard company. They donated the space. That was awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah. You know, I mean, really we need more art in communities, and I mean, Andy and Moa are doing an amazing job with that, bringing art, you know, especially to the Antelope Valley, which, you know, is traditionally a little more conservative, you know, to share art with everybody. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And it makes a difference to people. You know, people told me later, like where I take my car, you know, to the garage, the manager there said, oh, I saw your painting. It makes me happy every time I drive by. Like, how awesome is that?
That's
great.
great.
And
I
she has Andy.
I'm
She
sorry.
has those murals painted all over town. You know, on the buildings downtown Lancaster, they're covered with wonderful images. So
Yeah, and I know
pretty
that's
special.
yeah, that started with powwow, I think. You know, and then
Yeah, and it's ongoing. She had,
yeah,
so she invited them back twice, and we'll probably have them back again.
yeah. That's so great. And
Mhm.
this piece makes me happy too. You know, just your use of color, you know, how you integrate the color with the fur and even just the use of paint with the perspective, you know, and the depth that you have in these pieces. They're really
Oh, great. Thanks.
and
Yeah,
this
this one has, you can see it's partly inspired by quilts. Like that part on the right hand side, like a patchwork quilt kind of idea. I was making big quilt paintings. I mean, they were paintings, but they look like quilts. I made 2 great big ones.
Oh wow, how big is this one?
Oh, this is not very big. It's I don't, you know, 28 maybe wide.
Okay.
30 maybe.
And I know the title is Mojave Pink. Is it of a specific area in Mojave?
It's looking out at the Mojave Desert from up here on the hill. So you're looking out between the hills, and there's the Mojave out in the distance.
Oh, gotcha.
And I just named it Mojave Pink because we have a very famous snake out here called Mojave Green.
Yeah.
And so this is Mojave Pink, not the danger.
Yeah. When I lived in the Antelope Valley, I had seen many Mojave Greens.
You did? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, you know, going further, you know, you take these and you do make them more sculptural by the way you hang them.
Yeah. This one I did really made a change on this one. It was not like this at all when I first made it. It was flat on the wall and almost looked kind of map-like because of the outline was so uneven.
Uh-huh.
And now it's permanent like this. I can't undo it now because it has, you know, strips of wood and stuff on the back to secure it, to make it stay this way. Yeah,
well, I think
so this one's like that.
It was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
And this one too.
This is a new one. I made 2 that are, this is pretty big. It's like maybe 50 inches tall. And then it could be flat on the wall, but I hang it so that it's got that big dip in the center.
Yeah, and is that with a piece of wood at the top? Is that how you did that?
A piece of wood at the top?
Like on the back?
Top. What's it?
I mean, in the back, how did you, like, how are you hanging it? So it like folds over.
I don't have any handy, but I use these, they're about 1 inch square plastic keyhole hangers.
Oh yeah.
That you can get like W plastics. You know, people use it for their acrylic, whatever they're hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
So I just glue. I use you know, thick matte medium for glue. I use it for all kinds of glue.
Yeah.
And I just glue them on the back, and they're so easy. And it just takes one little nail, and bink, it's done. And then this one I put also 2 out at the lateral corners so that I could make it keep that curve shape.
Oh, that's good. And this one is currently hanging in Brea at Made in California?
In Brea, yeah, at Made in California show.
Yeah. Which is
and that's going to open in a week or so. They're going to have it online. I don't think it's open yet. June something.
Oh, good, good. I mean, it's, you know, amazing to see with everything going on with the pandemic that, I mean, we can still see art and we can still talk about art via Zoom and, you know, online forums like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really surprising, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you know, it's easy. I mean, of course, receptions, you know, we've talked about it before. They're not having as many receptions because of all the people, but at least like if the art is hanging in the institution or the gallery, you know, 1 or 2 people can go in at a time and see shows and see art, which I think is what we really need right now. You know, I mean, we need to
Yeah.
get out there and, you know, see the world and see beauty like this and, you know, smile, and we need something uplifting.
I know. Oh, it's so important to see everything in person. You know, yeah, we're all, wait, oh God, no, I'm getting a low battery on my,
Oh no.
oh no, it's right. It said I have 10% left.
That should be enough.
We should,
Well, I guess we're almost done.
yeah.
You know, I charged it up before, but this iPad, I don't know, it's running low on battery too frequently. I have to take it to the Apple store.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's help.
Yeah. So I wanted to share this one, and then I have another one in a minute too. You know, and
Okay.
I don't remember if this one is made to be like a cloak or if you just made it to hang on the wall like this.
Just made it to hang on the wall. I've made probably 10 of these. Some are not as heavy as this. I have 3 or 4 that are this heavy, and the other ones are more lighter weight, and they drape more flat down, you know.
Oh, okay.
But I was just making these draped pieces of paint, and I thought, God, it looks kind of like someone had just hung their shirt on the wall.
Yeah.
So I started thinking of them that way, as being kind of stand-ins for people. But you can't wear it. It's not wearable.
I love it though. I love that. And then I love this one in your studio. We talked about it with like the mermaid
Yes.
material.
Yes, I got that material because I was doing something with Andy with the fashion show that she
Yes.
has out there at the museum. So, so I really like it. And in fact, I pulled it out the other day. It's sitting here on my work table. I'm going to use it again. And I have a couple other things, sparkly fabrics that I'm going to put paint on. So you know, it's nice, that contrast between that smooth, shiny, and then flat looking paint. Yeah. So I'm going to do more with that.
Oh, good.
Definitely.
Experimentation is always great. And then this
That's
is one of
me.
your
That's
newer pieces.
if I'm not experimenting, I'm just like miserable.
Yeah.
I know you too. That's how you are.
Yeah. And this is one of your newer pieces. I know.
Yeah, this is the first time I really put fur on the front.
Yeah.
Which that's another thing I'm going to keep doing. It's
I
really interesting.
Yeah, I really
ahead.
love the fur breaking through in this one. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's,
Yeah, me too. Adds a whole nother dimension and sort of mystery, and you know what's going on there. It's like, yeah, that I'm really glad I'm doing this now. This is something I'm going to keep doing.
There's something fun about the way that like you're using materiality in the paint and the fur, and then referencing landscape and even the figure. Like you're not representationally exactly, you know, talking about the figure, but the way that things drape, and you're talking about like that kind of stand-in for a person. And I feel like when you do these things, or like using the different fabric to talk about kind of fashion, that's another kind of talking about the figure. I think those are the places where that gets complex in an interesting way.
Cool. Yeah, I like that too. You know, someone looked at that one with the what you call the mermaid fabric, Kristine.
Yeah.
And they said, you know, I know the name of that one. That's Maryland. You know, so it really references, like you say, the figure and fashion, and you know, like that.
Yeah. And then with this one, I love how, you know, you're also leaving the netting showing, you know, so you're experimenting with that too.
I like that. I feel like I can't figure out whether I like the netting left or not. But that's how this one is, and it belongs to someone now, so it's not going to change.
Hey, well, there we go.
Yeah. But I like the name of this one. It's called Octopus's Garden.
Oh, perfect. Yep. And then this I took a photo of when we did our studio visit, because I just love these. And these you call the girls. And
these are the girls.
Paint. Where did these come from?
Yeah, this paint off my cleaning my palette. Looked at it one day because I put it in paper cups, looked at it one day and I thought, wait a minute, that doesn't go in the trash. So I started dressing them up with fur. And, you know, they're perfect because paint is my muse, right? And these are my muses.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. It's funny how things kind of fall in place sometimes, unplanned.
I have a couple of photos from installation shots from your shows. I know, I think, was this one at the Metro Gallery or no?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the Metro Gallery in Pomona was like two years ago, I think it was.
And
So I made all those separate pieces just to hang, just to figure out how to put them together on the wall to make something interesting.
And it's really pop art. I mean, it really, you know, there's definitely something about it. I love how it's installed, especially with this piece on the right. Of course, I'm pointing at it. Nobody can see that. The black and white checkered piece on the far right. You know, it brings you in because of the angles and the dimensions. And no, it's really, I love how you put it all together like that.
There's
Definitely.
also so much.
And now, go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just gonna say there's so much movement in the pieces, the way that you use color and texture, and that like even looking at a picture of it, it seems to vibrate and pulse. And you had said before one of those the energy fields.
Yeah, I think of all of them as ones that are dots and stripes, and those are energy fields because I practice energy medicine, actually. I'm very interested in energy fields.
They feel like energy fields, like even looking at them across the computer, like they have that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Great. Perfect.
So then I wanted to show that this is a dress.
This is a dress that it actually doesn't have side seams because I have this like, I don't know, this thing. I'm making paint things that hang on the body, but they're not clothing. So I don't know what I have this deal. So they're not sewn together like a dress.
They're wearable or painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one was at Orange County Center for Contemporary Art. This is probably at least 5 years ago. And you know, Emerald Arts, she wore it during the opening for me. We had a good time.
And then here's an installation shot from Norco Community College.
Norco, a couple months ago, and there's the girls, and then those paintings in the back that are mostly blue on the left. Those are Jane Chafin. So it was Jane and me. We had a two-person show.
It was a really, really good pairing. I mean, it worked
out.
Oh,
it was great. Yeah, really nice together.
And I know this is yours. These two are yours that are a little older, but I love, you know, that again, you're playing with like acrylic paint, peeling it off the plastic, hanging it as a sculpture. You know, so I love how you're blurring the line and crossing boundaries and things like that.
Yeah, so this is paint on both sides. So I did one side, let it dry, turned it over and paint the other side. So you can walk all the way around it, you know. Doesn't have a front and back.
Yeah, and then you hung it like with a dowel at the top?
Yes, it's just a wooden dowel.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. And then here's another view of the work on the wall. So you can see the three-dimensionality of these.
Right. And this one, the first one on the left there, I had never hung it. I always meant to hang it kind of, you know, not flat on the wall, but I had a show at Ann Lab at the brewery of this and a number of other pieces made the same way. And they kept telling me, don't do that, make it flat on the wall. So this time I finally did what I wanted to do. I don't know why I let them talk me into it, but I did. It was me and another artist, and the other artist was going, no, you should, it looks better flat. And I okay.
Oh,
so I did it. Whatever.
Got your way.
Yeah.
And then the last piece I wanted to show is one of your most recent pieces. This was a collaboration that you did with Kudra Clover.
Yeah, Kudra Clover lives in Hawaii, and we met at Ki Pai Pai in Hawaii like 3 years ago probably. And so, you know, Andy coordinated this whole thing where she had pairs of artists work on a piece together. And so she works with dyed silk. So she sent me like 3 pieces of dyed silk And I tried a bunch of, I looked at them and sent her some ideas because she's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Through email, and end up using this one and basing my colors on her colors that were already there in the dyed fabric. Yeah. And what's funny is that those two like fuzzy kind of reddish purple areas on her dye kind of echo the fur.
Yeah, they really do.
That was not planned. It just happened.
Collaboration it's so important for what we do also. It makes us think outside the box and makes us work with other people and get new ideas. And no, it was fantastic. I mean, it came out beautifully. So, and it's now
it came out
at MOA in Lancaster at the Museum of Art and History. So people.
Yeah, that little show was it Loft at Liz's, right there on La Brea. Now it's a MOA.
Yeah, yeah.
And in one of their galleries.
Yeah, I want to end by just taking a quick look at your website, because I know you have, let's see, you do have a sale going on right now. Your website looks beautiful. You've done an amazing job with it.
Thank you.
And if people want to look, they can also see images of your house. Yeah, and the construction of your house, which we talked about. And then let's see. And then here's information about the sale.
That's where we went to building school. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
4-day.
Yeah, so I just want to show this so people can take a look at your website and see all of the work on there. Some of it we just showed. But it looks fantastic. And then here's your archive with, I love
And I sold 3 pieces, Kristine. I sold 3 pieces already from my sale.
Yay,
I'm so excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I love these too. I remember seeing these at AmLab. Your rolled,
Oh, the roll-ups.
Yeah. And
great roll-ups.
I saw these in person too. I think it was this one, which I adore. So yeah, people can go look at your website to see a lot of your older work, to read more about you in the About section, and to read about your Adobe home. And cool.
Okay.
Stop sharing here so we can just, is there anything else you want to talk about? I know you are making your garden, or you're planting a garden during quarantine too, which is amazing.
Yeah, we got inspired. My husband especially, he was inspired. He said, we have to make a community garden where we can feed ourselves and all of our neighbors. And so he made one for us, and then he said, okay, we're going to make a big one for the community. So down at the community center, it's 16 by 40
wow
feet.
That's fantastic.
And we gave seeds to a bunch of people who wanted to participate, and we just planted it a week ago Saturday.
Great. We'll look forward on social media to seeing how, you better post pictures, to seeing how that goes.
Okay. I will.
Thank you so much for meeting with us, Stevie. It was wonderful looking at your work and talking about it with you and hearing even more of a backstory than we already knew. And it was wonderful.
Thank you, Kristine and Sam and Sheli, for participating with me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We will see you soon.
Okay, see you soon. Ciao.